it's not that bike sharing A was bad. B, it wasn't that they didn't bring the system into their countries that they wanted to go in and they did a bad job. What they did a bad job in was that they failed to recognize why free floating system doesn't work for certain places, and they were using the wrong execution to solve them.
Hi and welcome to Startup Snapshot, a Tech in Asia podcast. My name's Nat. If this is your first time tuning in, this mini-series is a little experiment we're running here at Tech in Asia, where we hear from founders and leaders in the startup space and hear their stories and the challenges they face, as well as to gain some insight on their industries and the innovations that they're making. Joining me for today is Dalston Pung, Chief Operating Officer of Qiq. Hey Dalston, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for coming down. Maybe let's kick off this whole episode by an introduction on what exactly Qiq is.
Qiq's mission and vision is to accelerate the adoption of electric shared mobility. Today, we know that the market is growing to accept the adoption of shared systems. We talk about, we're very used to now looking at Airbnb where we kind of share our homes and all this, right? But we started to also start looking at what sharing service mean for mobility services, right? If we look at the whole space between going from point A to point B from public transport perspective, you take the bus, then you take the train, then you take the bus again, right? The two buses in between and beginning is what we call the first mile and last mile solution.
Right.
Now, in the center portion, I think Singaporeans today, we are very used to shared services, which is the train.
Yes.
Right. Buses too, but the whole system today, we have like Grab, Gojek in Singapore market, or even in the regional market, where we're trying to solve people to go from point A to point B. Now, there's this very interesting statement that was being made that transportation is actually the blood vein of a country, right?
Oh, wow,
we move
okay.
goods, services, people, garbage, right? And that forms the economy entire perspective, right? Now, if we are already thinking about how energy consumption is going to start looking at, right? Like Singapore today, we are building one of the largest floating solar farms, in Singapore, right? Small place, we're building that.
Yeah.
Now, if we translate that strategy into how we're using energy consumption, right, then we start understanding a lot of things can go electric. Buses are already moving electric. If you look at the latest news on about electric buses in Singapore, we also started looking at our train system. Then what does it mean for last mile systems, right? There's already a huge pickup for electric scooters. I think today in your neighborhood you'll see, have Grab Food.
Yes.
All this electric shared scooters, people are using that service to get food delivery. And we start thinking to ourselves, 10 years from today, 15 years from today, will we have a effective first point, sustainable second point A to point B in the last mile space? How quickly can I go from my home to the MRT station or to the next transport system itself? Now, if that portion becomes more and more effective, then it just means that, hey, I don't really need to buy a house that's next to the MRT station. I can live slightly further. I want to enjoy maybe Punggol Waterway, I want to enjoy maybe a more greenery view. I don't want to stay in the city center where it's so clustered. That portion makes the township itself more effective.
Okay.
Right? And then urban plannings will start to look different because you do not need to have everything congested in CBD itself. You can spread it out because people's ability to go from point A to point B easier, right? And that forms the perspective first. And that's why our vision is really to accelerate the adoption for electric shared mobility, because we understand that if people have the freedom to move from point A to point B in a shared system which is effective and sustainable, it means a lot to the city dwellers itself. Now, if transportation is very, very cheap, and remember my statement previously, I said that transportation, mobility is the bloodline of a country, then wouldn't food delivery becomes very cheap? Wouldn't DHL services become very, very affordable, right?
It kind of trickles down to all the
Correct. It
services
trickles
that you
down to
transport.
everything, right? Then from an economical standpoint, it really starts to make sense. And that's why billions and billions of dollars were poured into transportation.
Right.
Look at Grab, Uber, Ola, all the big companies. From an investment point of view, it makes sense to solve going from point A to point B, right? And that really makes sense. And that's why we understood that. And I think our approach to shared system is fundamentally different. First, from the thought level, why is it important? Understanding that and applying the right technology into a shared system also is important.
Right.
And I think that's where we are starting up from.
So I think one of the questions on a lot of people's minds is, in light of players like Ofo, Mobike not doing very well. I think there were a lot of controversies with some of them. Some of them had to leave the market and everything. Why exactly do you think that Qiq can succeed where some of these guys have not?
Okay, I think first and foremost, let's talk about what did they not succeed in.
Right.
Okay, first point. So I also shared this, right, that the Chinese view bike sharing as one of the greatest invention that the Chinese did for the tech industry. All right, bike sharing. Wow, you were talking about people who contributed to it. Mobike, Ofo bike, right? No, the two big ones, the yellow bike and the orange bike. That's what everyone called them. So they succeeded in really bringing the spotlight into bike sharing.
Right.
That's what they really succeeded in. They also succeeded by proving to capital market investors, operators that they can grow and there is a reason for bike sharing to be in your city. What they failed to do was when they tell the market that, hey, there's a reason why bike sharing should be in your city, they didn't handle that statement well enough.
Okay.
So like, for example, look at Singapore, right? Like Obike, they partner with Grab, to do Grab cycles.
Yes.
Right? LTA allowed them to do it. So there was a lot of good responses from regulators' point of view to give them. What they didn't do well, like I said, was to hold responsible to those statements. Like, okay, I'm giving you a reason why bike sharing should exist in your city. Thank you for allowing me to run it. And they didn't run it well. Not in the sense where they didn't provide the service to the people. What they didn't manage well was how well the company as a whole was going. Right? Why? Because if you think about this again, they have to spend massive amount of money on an entire fleet.
Right.
And there's a reason why. Not because they have a lot of money. Yes, they had. But the reason why they spent so much building a fleet was because 30,000 vehicles was the approved number that LTA have given those big players. They brought in the vehicles and 30,000 seems like a big number. So what will happen? Operation cost hits up. You need to have a storage place. When the vehicle's out there, you need to do the redeployment. 30,000 vehicles on trucks going around. Think about it, right? How much will it cost them?
Right.
The second thing is because 30,000 vehicles, very quickly, if you don't manage to bring them centrally and put it at a place, it doesn't give people first the ability to see how much of an impact that 30,000 vehicle is. Okay? Unlike ride hailing, where you call the vehicle to you. If you don't see a mobile, you don't see a bike system, you won't take it. Right? So this free floating system gives people the flexibility for the vehicle to go everywhere. And the minute it goes everywhere, as an operator, I need to think, shit, I have not enough system to put for people. So I keep going back to HQ and say, we need bigger fleets. We need bigger fleets. So to them, it's users first, spend more. By the time they look at their financial ability to sustain that amount of fleet, you'll be shocked. You'll be like, oh no, I have an issue, right? And that's why it's not that bike sharing was bad. B, it wasn't that they didn't bring the system into their countries that they wanted to go in and they did a bad job. What they did a bad job in was that they failed to recognize why free floating system doesn't work for certain places. And they were using the wrong execution to solve them, right? And again, if you look at how City Bike did it, again, if you look at how Santander Bike did it, these are players who've been around for 10 years, bro, right? And they know that when they look at how all these Chinese companies were running it, nothing wrong with Chinese companies, please. Alibaba, good job.
It's just a description, right?
Yeah. So it's fundamentally they were running it financially not prudent.
Okay.
Fact of the matter, they didn't run it prudently. The operation grew too big. I mean, yes, there were companies out there that can grow very quickly and still manage it, right? Like Tech in Asia.
Thank you very much.
But there are some companies where when they grow too big at the time, financially it was painful for them, right? Yeah. So let's address that first, okay? So for Qiq's perspective, when we look at that sharing system and we know that where they have failed in, we knew for a fact it validated our perspective that dog system works. Something that can be self-run, where we hire technicians to go around to solve any of the hardware issues, right? As compared to free floating, we will have more work to be done. Why? Because we need to go to landowners to convince them and say, hey, we have a viable solution. Can we build docking station there? but there's good companies out there that's proving it, right? Look at Blue SG. They didn't have a lot of points in Singapore, but they started building more, a bit more. Every 6 months, they put in more every 6 months. And people started to believe that, hey, you know, I can build charging stations, you know, at CBD areas, you know, and cars can be shared. And that's where we're going, right? Anyways, as a startup, we're here for the long run, right? We don't have that kind of like mentality that, you know, raise X amount of billions of dollars, pumped it into a service and then float it out there. We start off by, okay, this is the country that need electric last mile mobility. What can our solution do? How can we work with regulators to build a proper system? We identify together the regulators that this is the place that docking station works, right? Like at Suntec City, if you're going from point to point B, say for example here to Marina Square, like walking from the other point, you can't take a train, there's no bus, you walk, but there's really a possibility that just from here to Marina Square, if you take a bike, electric scooter, it's a lot faster.
Yeah.
And that's why if you see downstairs today, your office downstairs, you see people actually using electric scooters, right? So I think it has to first understand what we're trying to solve. Right. So mentality-wise, I think Qiq, we are really different. Product-wise, we differentiate ourselves by having a energy storage system that charges quickly, so that the downtime is a lot lesser, right? We don't have to bring it back to the central warehouse to charge it for 8 hours. Our vehicle takes minutes to charge. It's very fast. And then because it's a docking solution, people can be incentivized to go and dock it. People can be incentivized to take a quick charge at like Starbucks, McDonald's, before when they get a cup of coffee and, you know, go put it back. And if the vehicle is 50% charged, you know, it takes really 2 minutes to charge, right? It's not a very long time.
Right.
So that makes it sustainable from an operation and technological standpoint. Yeah.
So I think in a gist, it's kind of that in places like Singapore, a docking system would be a better fit than kind of a free-floating system. Is that what you're saying?
In my honest opinion, yes.
Okay.
In my honest opinion, yes, not being biased. Just by looking at how New York has been running, London has been running, I think Singapore looks closer to Japan, New York, London, as compared to like Hangzhou, you know, or cities where it is vast and big. You know, we are very small. Right. Like from here to Tampines is on train 30 minutes. Right? How many bikes can we squeeze in this place? You know, and how many free floating bikes can be squeezed in this place? It just doesn't work. Another thing is also this, right? If you don't have a permanent perspective of bike sharing, say for example, you're a tenant in Suntec City, and you see a docking station downstairs every day for the next 2 to 3 years, right? You don't see it as a external system. You see that as part of something that is a fixture in Suntec City. You won't go and kick on it. You won't go and pee on it. You won't go and do nonsense on it, right? It's because just like you don't do something nonsense on SBS buses or train system, because you respect that this is a shared system that everyone uses and it's part of our daily life. And that's where we want it to be.
Right.
All right. Will there be free floating system? I think uniquely there are some places that works. Maybe like Pongo, where it is very big, lesser places to build docking stations. It could be that, right? But that is a decision that I think that from government's point of view should divide different sector and allow different companies to work with small township.
Right.
To build something sustainable for a township, right? And that's actually our strategy. For us, we don't want to do the whole Singapore. Right, if we want to solve a problem for Bedok, we solve a problem for Bedok. If we want to solve a problem for Woodlands, we solve a problem for Woodlands, right? And just by looking at Malaysian coming into Singapore, Singaporean going into Malaysia for working, that if solving that and help people go faster, you're already doing a lot of things for people to, you know, and solving a lot of people's life.
Definitely.
Yeah, you don't have to solve the entire Singapore's problem because that's a really big problem to solve.
Right. Yeah. Just take it one person at a time.
Yep.
One community at a time, even.
Yep.
And see where you can go from there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think right now actually, how many locations? Because I understand that Shadow, the parent company of Qiq, right? You guys, they have services located internationally. Is it the same case for Qiq? Where are you guys available?
Okay. So Qiq, quick history. I joined Qiq about late 2017.
Okay.
Right. We're halfway through 2019, around 2 years. Since then, we grew from conceptualization of the product, stabilizing the product. We grew from bicycles, then to bicycles and docking stations. It then grew to bicycle docking station and tethered chargers where it's hang on the wall, you can pull down and just take a quick charge. Right? And then we grew to scooters, right? We built our own communication system. And since then, we came a long way in terms of just being a product and sharing system company, right? Late 2000 and mid 2018, that's where we did an announcement that with our partners in Vietnam, we wanted to solve traffic congestions in Hanoi. Unlike Singapore, they don't have yet a very full MRT system, right? They just built their first line. And a lot of people are still focused on buying a motorcycle to go from point to point B. You go to Vietnam, it's beautiful and crazy at the same time, right? So we partner with them, and that's actually our first city.
Okay.
So Vietnam is actually our first city. Hanoi is actually our first city. Just to also share with everyone, on the 2nd of June, we'll be opening our service in Hoi An.
Hoi An, okay.
Yeah, so we won, it's very near from Da Nang, 30 minutes away from drive. So we partner with the Hoi An government too. They wanted to change Hoi An into a bicycle city.
Right.
And UNESCO government, global government, big companies are coming together to fund this whole city development. And we're also proud to say that we are the approved players for both cities to build docking stations, electric bicycles in that place itself. We have showcased our ability to be in Hanoi. We have also showcased the ability to work well with regulators. We have also showcased that we are gaining traction by getting one city at a time. Yes, we're not doing something crazy like putting 50,000 vehicles in there, but it's 100, 200 vehicles in the new city. What we're trying to do is to introduce this new lifestyle to the locals, right? Not to be intruding to their lifestyle. We wanted to show them that this is how sharing system works. And we're putting a small fleet to grow it. And our partners are happy to grow that. Also, since then, we were talking to a couple of places, right? Singapore was looking to launch Middle East, Japan, and Korea. Our business model is we work with existing players to build sharing system for two simple reasons. A, we lack capital. So if any VCs out there, please come look for me.
Okay, so got a few announcements to Shopback.
Yeah, to Shopback.
Any VCs.
Okay. Please go ahead. I hope it reaches you. But for us, we deploy it because local governments work better with local companies that already know what sharing system is all about, right? So Vietnam is doing okay. Singapore, we are taking the approach ourselves. We are now working with LTA.
Okay.
We're still trying to finalize how best to deploy in Singapore. Yes, I can go out there and put scooters on the road, but I don't see that as meaningful, right? So we are trying to work with real estate owners, identify a right location in Singapore and really make an impact, right? If it's for a township and a township is successful, I think that same system can be replicated across the different, townships, Tampines, Bedok, Simei, and all this, right? So that's Singapore. Middle East, we're doing really pretty good. We have gotten a lot of interest from the relevant regulators, and because Middle East is also separated by different countries, right? So regulators have already gotten our first set of vehicles in. They're using it. Very soon, you will see the service on the street.
Okay.
Japan too. For the city of Kyoto.
All right. I think it's you have a very exciting future ahead for Qiq, launching in a few cities around.
It will be in the next 3 to 4 months. I mean, officially, the reason why I announced dates for Vietnam is because that's officially
a
given date,
down.
right? Penned down. Rest are confirmed. We're just pending the launch date.
Right, work in progress now.
Yeah, pending launch date.
Okay, cool. I think that's all the time we have for today on Startup Snapshot. No, thank you so much for sharing.
No, thank you
very
so
much about
very
Qiq.
happy to be able to do this with you guys.
Yes, and we're very happy to have you. So once again, my name is Nat. That was Dalston Pung from Qiq, the COO, and thank you so much for listening to Startup Snapshot. If you like what you hear, we're publishing weekly episodes on the Tech in Asia webpage at techinasia.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/techinasia. You can also find us on Spotify at Startup Snapshot. Alternatively, if you did not like what you heard, send us an email at podcast@techinasia.com and let me know why you hated it. Let me know what you want to hear. Let us know what didn't work for you, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you so much for tuning in to Startup Snapshot. Until next week, my name is Nat. Goodbye.